Trap media, biggest, we the biggest out, we the richest out, you know, the most unbiased out. All right, so look at this. I think this is real important because we, unfortunately, we're in a sport where nobody likes to pay homage. So somebody to clearly be influenced by you, but try to act like, no, I don't listen to nobody, or no, that's, they just try to act totally aloof to the fact that, bro, you clearly were listening to that a lot at some point, and whether it was on purpose or not on purpose, you were influenced by this artist, and it's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's influenced by somebody, but I feel like the three biggest influences of right now are Future, Kevin Gates, and Dej Loaf, and that's pretty much the game. We know Chief. I think all time Chief Keef's the most influential, from music to Chicago slang to just the game. The game has taken so much from Chicago that people think that certain kids have come up and they think that's just, oh, that's just how my city talk. So it's become so influential that how Chicago talk just became a part of everybody's day to day, to the point where you have somebody in Texas thinking a Chicago term was their term, and they might actually mean it because maybe when they got it, they were so young that they thought it just came from there, but they didn't know that the people above them who they were looking to was getting it from there. So it just became so synonymous because I know the world pre Chief Keef and the world post Chief Keef, and that's a whole different world. But as far as and if we talk about who influenced that drill era, that came from the tree of Waka, because you got the wild guy talking that killer stuff, shaking the dreads. So that whole real drill era was influenced by Waka, and in my time, like for us who was looking up, we was listening to Gucci and Waka was the one who really struck with the youth. Then you get a Chief Keef and everything that spawns from there. Then the world takes Chicago slang with it. Before Chief Keef, you ain't hear the 30s. You ain't hear the thought. You didn't hear um smoking, calling weed dope. You didn't hear free the guys. You didn't hear on phone number. You didn't hear the gang culture just exploded. Gang culture had died in the Wiz Khalifa era. Gang culture had died. It was more so about smoking, having a good time, kicking it with the females. You had Roscoe Dash at that time, Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, Kendrick Lamar, TDE, the pro Arab movement. You had all that. It was just in a different space. It wasn't centered around gang. But when Chief Keef came, it just exploded the gang culture back, and all of these terms. Somebody go slide on them. No lacking. Um, the ops. All of these terms were from the Chief Keef tree of him blowing up and that making Chicago culture blow up. But as far as today's music, it's the three big trees that I see, and that's Kevin Gates, which he doesn't get credit from a Kevin Gates tree. You get because NBA YoungBoy, his whole, especially the early sound and his subject matter, it was pretty much just the Kevin Gates interview, and mixed in with Kevin Gates style, just the next generation, the Kevin Gates 2.0 sound. You can tell the heavy influence from Gates, and you got a young boy, and you know pretty much the whole world is on that. Like that's a lot of people's favorite artist. But without a Kevin Gates, you don't have an NBA YoungBoy sound. Without a Kevin Gates interview, you don't have that same subject matter. And then now with him growing up and developing, and all of the situations that's going around him and Baton Rouge and the real situations, it just make it even more prominent. So from Gates, on one end you get NBA YoungBoy from Gates Tree, And on the other end, you get Rod Wave, and this is arguably the heaviest tree in the game. But I never hear anyone mention or give Gates his credit for influence. And go back to here early Rod Wave. That's what made him stand out to me. Like, dang, this sound like a when Gates was locked up, and it just really hit. And it's that same type of passion. Now it has developed into its own thing, but if you really go listen to some of the early stuff, like Tomorrow and Heartbreak Hotel, that's clearly the original influence, the original direct influence was Kevin Gates. So that's his tree. Now the Dage Loaf tree is pretty much like I pointed out last video, like that New York wave, and it's pretty much A Boogie, Lil TJ, Ji, I think Tekka sounds like them too. Is it anybody else? Just that whole little sound. If you hearing people sounding like A Boogie, that's coming from the Dage Loaf tree, and he doesn't really even like to acknowledge that. And like I said, Dage Loaf is a spin from Chance, but a lot of people weren't on Chance in the same way because of the subject matter. But when Dej Loaf came and flipped it because of what she was talking about, coming try me, woo woo, everybody that was in the inner cities attracted to it. And then you got A Boogie from that, and from that you got a little TJ. Now they don't want to, they'll try to distance it and all and say theirs is just original, but if you just listen to it, you know, and if you was around, you know, not this, and it's not taken from nobody, but we have to learn how to start paying homage in this arena. And the next tree is Future. From Future, you got Young Thug. From Future, you know, they'll just credit Thug for Roddy Rich, Lil Baby, and Gunna. But if there's no Future, you get no Thug. So to me, that whole tree, the Young Thug, the Roddy Rich, the Gunna, the Lil Dirt, that's all a variation of Future's different styles. If you put all of them together, you get Future. So I think hip hop and rap music, you have to start just paying homage. It's okay to have an influence. That doesn't make you less of an artist. You need something to come before you so you can evolve the sport. Without Jordan and Magic together, you don't get a LeBron. So you have to mix these things up, and you looking and studying something, and that takes you to the next level. You don't have to say, "Oh no, I don't listen to nobody," or "Oh no, this style just came out of nowhere," or even if people don't see it, man, big that artist up that you were influenced by. Like, don't just because people don't see it, I'm like try to dismiss it or just try to take it like, oh, you just because you know how in this creative space, like it, that's really important. You know, that's really important coming up with this stuff. And if you coming up with a style that's very different in a time where everybody is the same, you want to be paid that homage. Just like if you came up with something original, you want people to pay homage to you, and then you'll get these people like everybody sounding like me, but you never even pay homage to the person who you got the sound from. So how do you expect somebody to do the same to you? If they seen you doing that, then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got that sound from so and so," or I took a piece of that and flipped it my own way. Like, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. So pay homage to Future, Young Thug. I mean Future. I'm tripping. Future, Kevin Gates, and Dage Low for the influence of today's sound and hip hop, and the overall most influential Chief Keef. I'm out. Oh yeah, and I forgot Kevin Gates in the power rank. He's definitely. I could actually put Gates in that top three, but Gates is definitely in that top. He's definitely, if nothing else, Gates is definitely five because I would listen to Gates more so than Benny.